Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. These are the days of the coronavirus, and people ask me for an improvised weapon that you can use to maintain social distancing. Well, since a lot of shops are still closed, we have to use what we have. And there's one thing that people have stored like no other. This. So, we need a slingshot that shoots toilet paper. Well, of course nothing that I have would fit that, so I think we have to go ahead and make one. So, this is it, the coronavirus social distancing weapon. Let me show you its features. So this is a very, very classic, high-powered rubber-powered slingshot gun. As you see, it has 3 full TheraBand gold bands per side. This means that the total draw weight is around 260 pounds. Just about 120 kilos. It is a heavy crossbow, but toilet paper is quite heavy. It actually weighs around 160 grams. That's several times the weight of an arrow. Therefore, yes, we have to shoot it with a lot of force. It has a fairly long barrel, and I recycled one of the earlier systems that I had, and I just made it so it fits here. And it is a breech loader. Quite interesting. The first breech loader I made in a long time. Since you cannot really put a toilet paper in here, but it needs to be guided to the upper side as well, what you can do is you can actually lift this up, like so. See, you can unlock it, then lift it, and this little device here makes it possible that it can't really move to the side much. And there is a joint in the front. Now that is possible, you can easily put the toilet paper inside here and then close the whole thing again, And now, as you see, the toilet paper cannot squeeze itself out. So it's very safe to shoot. For the shooter. So these antennas here are actually the stirrups so that you can cock it. What you do is you cock it with the 2 bands only, and then you have to manually attach these additional bands, since there is no way that you could cock all this in one go. Maybe the Hulk can do it, but I can't do it, even though I'm not really a weakling. Okay. So first you put it down, like so. You step on the antennas here, and then you pull this up until it locks in. That's hard enough already. Then you turn it around, like so. Grab it by one of the antennas. Then you take the second band and put it over this, around. One and number 2, so, and the last band. Now it's fully cocked. Let's load the ammo in. Open the breech, put the ammo in. Move it all the way back, close the barrel again, and we're ready to fire. And bang! Ouch! That's a lot of force. I don't think that I really want to be hit by it. I think it could be very painful, but it's obviously not lethal. At least not in the current condition. This is a roll that I already started on. So as you see, the end is loose, as is the case with the toilet paper rolls that you've already started on. And now let's see if it unfolds when we shoot it up in the air. Okay, let's do it. And fire! Yeah! Beautiful! Okay, once you roll it back together, it's not as clean anymore, but I guess it will still do its main job. I'll find out anyway. In any case, you can also see that there is some energy that gets lost, because see how much the band was already kind of deforming it when it shot it, and also it even teared it in the middle. So there is some energy that is lost because of that. But we will find out what happens when we shoot it against a wooden board, because we want to make sure that it's not lethal. So I'll be using this plywood board to see if it actually bounces off, which would mean it's not lethal, or if it actually cracks it, and then it would probably be lethal, or at least it will be very dangerous. Okay, I hope I'm gonna hit it. Bang, but it did not shatter. Well, of course, it's a challenge. So obviously this is so soft. It's actually, I think it's the luxury 3-layer type. But this is so soft that obviously it cannot really hurt someone seriously. Although I don't think it would be pleasant to be hit by it. But you know what we could do? We could do lockdown Pykrete. You know what Pykrete is? Pykrete actually is something that was almost used in warfare. It's actually pulp, and that could be anything, paper, sawdust, even newspapers, that is wetted down and then frozen. Because then this thing wouldn't be like ice, it wouldn't splinter, it would just, you know, still be a little bit malleable, but it would be very, very tough. And of course a lot less spongy than this is. So therefore what we need to do is we need to put the toilet paper into water and then into the freezer. So, lockdown Pykrete, here you have it. As you see, of course it's been swelling up some, that was normal, and it's not even cold to the touch, even though it comes right out of the freezer. And it is kind of hard. And of course you can still form it a little bit, but not anywhere near as easily as a thawed piece of lockdown Pykrete. So let's see what this baby does. Okay, we'll find out. And Fire! Deadly! Very interesting. You can really still see, how much pressure the rope actually put to it. Now I want to find out if they fly more far than the taut one, just because it's more heavy, but it's also not less energy eating because of the deformation. So we'll replicate the shot from a while back and see how far this thing flies. And oh! I'd say it's about the same distance, maybe a little longer, but keep in mind this thing is like 3 times heavier. Well, I retrieved it and I have to correct myself. It definitely was about like 20 meters more far, so it is flying more far. But also see, this has now been out of the freezer for, I would say, 15 minutes. But it still is kind of frozen. It is a little softer where it was squeezed down, but still it's clearly frozen and still very tough. So I think it is true what the inventor of this Mr. Pyke said, that this is kind of self-insulating, because a solid piece of ice would now be dripping with water already. So, Pykrete. What do you do when you want to make something badass, like even more badass? Well, you put duct tape around it. So this is lockdown Pykrete, but it's completely wrapped in duct tape. And therefore it's hopefully even more steady, and it feels more steady. Now, since my test board broke, as you can see, I'm now shooting against my normal archery target, and that's a heavy, completely water-soaked archery mat. It probably weighs 30 kilos, so it will withstand the impact. But we shall see what happens. Okay, let's go. And bang! Wow! I can certainly confirm that this is not nearly as much squeezed in from the rope than the original one. It still is a little bit like egg-shaped now, if you look at it from above, but definitely this is more solid because of the duct tape. And fire! Seems like a tougher board, but it's still cracked. Before I had the duct tape idea, I was thinking maybe using brass nails would be a good idea. So I put them in and then soaked them down and then put them in the freezer. And of course I have to test it now. I have to know if this actually leaves some dents into the wood. Okay, nails. And fire! I love my job. Believe it or not, I actually can see the dents from the bronze nail head. It clearly is the same pattern, wouldn't you agree? The Mythbusters actually ended their episode about Pykrete with the verdict, plausible but ludicrous. And I think that's exactly what this thing here is too. I made it simply to entertain you. I'm not intending it to shoot against anyone and anything that lives, just dead objects. And I think it's crazy, but it's a pretty reliable weapon. It didn't break on me and shoots fairly accurate, and I think it does a super job. So I like it, and I hope you do too, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye.